Hello and welcome to Sreenath Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the 8th class science CBSE, that is about the 7th chapter, conservation of plants and animals. So first we are going through the overview of each and every topic of this particular chapter, and thereafter we will be having the thorough discussion of the each and every topic, and thereafter we will be finally summarization of the topic. So here first we are discussing about the introduction and overview of this particular chapter 7, that is about the conservation of the plants and animals. So in case of overview, we are seeing as a children's you are the people who are going to become the next generation. So you have to take care of the animals and the plants and conserve them so that we can have a livelihood, or we can live better on the face of the earth. So here in case of deforestation is the major cause for the loss of the conservation of the plants and animals. So what is deforestation? That is removal of the forest cover from the surface of the earth for the greediness and for the use of the human. So here when you're clearing the forest from the surface of the earth, we can see generally it's like there is loss of plants, and also animals and other species will also be lost because of the deforestation. And what is the consequences? As we discussed in the consequences of deforestation is they can be fluctuation in the temperature, there is a fluctuation in the seasonal rains, and we have a prolonged drought condition, that is dry condition. Summer will be increasing and decrease in the rainfall. These are some of the climatic disasters which are going to be happen. And also we can see it also affects about the agriculture output or the production of the agriculture. So as we see, apart from the drought, we can also say that the desertification, that is the formation of deserts, or the deserts, that is creation of the deserts, also the rate will be increasing, that is converting of land, or whether it may be grazing land or the green lands or grasslands has been desertified, and it will be converted into desert. And we can see generally the conservation of forests and wildlife. So generally it's about the laws, that is the law which was implemented by this country, that is the Republic of India, where they are implementing some of the laws according to the international and national laws in the interest of conservation of the plants and animals, that is generally the forest cover and also the wildlife. Here we also discuss about the biosphere reserve. So generally we can see that when we are going to approach some of the areas, we can see the biosphere reserves are the one where we can see the presence of national parks, sanctuaries and reserves. So generally these are very important for the conservation of the plants and animals, because these are the red areas or red code areas where there is a least human intervention and utilization by the human population, so that they can conserve the very rare endangered species of plants and animals, like for example red sandalwood, or it may be the tiger or single on rhinoceros, that can be preserved in case of this forest. So coming to what is flora and fauna. So generally flora is the one which is a vegetation of that particular area, and fauna is the one which is generally the animal wealth of that particular area. So flora and fauna is nothing but it's generally about the plants and animals which are present in that particular area is called as flora and fauna, which is including all the animal species and all the plant species in a particular area. So here we can see generally these are the like we can see like silver, we can see the fox, that is fox, and other animals like spotted deers, or the one which are generally the leopard, or the endogenous, or the species, or the nothing but they are the flora and the fauna of that particular area. So we also going to discuss about the endemic species. So generally what are endemic species? The species, whether it may be plants or animals, which are generally very much found in that particular area, and they are least found in or they are not at all found in particular area, is called as endemic species. So the species which are very much found and which have the extensively present in a particular area is called as endemic species. Here we can see the wild mango and also the giant squirrels, or the one which are included under the endemic species. So coming to the wildlife sanctuaries and the national parks. So wildlife sanctuaries are the one which are equal to the reserve forest, where we can see which provide the protection and also suitable living condition to the wild animals. So these are the wildlife sanctuaries, and we can also see the national parks are the one which are generally like that is the Saptapura National Park, which is very important for setting entire undisturbed whole set of ecosystem, so that we can protect the entire diversity of the plants and the animals. So and also we come across some of the things called as endangered animals. What are endangered animals? These are the ones which are near to the extinction, and which are means extinction means we can see they in the near future the number has been drastically reduced, and the species will be completely wiped out from the surface of the earth. So these species are called as endangered animals. We can see the wild buffalo, tiger, single on rhinoceros, or that some of the animal species which has been entitled as an endangered species by the World Wildlife Fund or the Protection Act. So here they have named all these animals under the red code book, where they have mentioned all these animals in detail, and how to and where to conserve, and also how to maintain the population of these particular animals. So here we can see apart from these endangered animals, we are also discussing about the ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? Generally ecosystem is nothing but it's a natural thing. So ecosystem is the one which is including all the plant species, animals, and even the microorganisms, insects which are living in that particular area come under that complete natural area called as ecosystem. So for the ecosystem to function properly, all the animals and the plants of that particular area has to live and thrive, so that to maintain the naturally the balance of the nature. And coming to what is red book. So red book is the one which is generally entitled all the species and all the animals, especially endangered animals, have been entitled here. And we can see generally they are the books which are including all the species or the winds which are generally going to extinct in the near future. And we can see what is migration. So generally the migration is the process where we can see migratory. For example, we can see generally the animals generally move from one patch of forest or one area to other area in search of mates, and in search of having the food and a warm climate. So generally we can see the migratory birds which are moving from different parts of the planet, that is from the earth to the our country, in search of food and also warmness. So the animals which are generally from the southern and northern part, the temperate region, they move to the tropical region for abundance of the food and for the mating, and also to complete the life cycle. So generally the example is migratory bird which are coming from the other countries to the India. So coming to what is recycling of the paper, generally the paper which we write and which we use for the printing and for the textbook is generally made up of the paper which is most of the time it is prepared from the pulps of the wood, that is other by means of deforestation and wood pulp. So this recycling of the paper, whatever it is there, it is very important to conserve the forest. So because of the production of the paper, that leads to the deforestation, and deforestation will also lead to the imbalance of the climatic condition. So here we can see the recycling of the paper. Generally the recycling of the paper is generally observed, where we can see that whatever the paper we use, that should be again sent back to the industry for the recycling, so that to decrease the pressure on the forest area. So one of the major consequence, or one of the major thing which can balance the entire earth and cool down the temperature and maintain the proper climatic response and the condition, is the reforestation. So in case of reforestation process, we can see the plantation or the forestation is the one which is a major goal, is the one to maintain or cool down the earth temperature, and also maintain the climatic condition and proper rainfall levels, and also timing of the rainfall. So reforestation deforestation is the process by which the replantation of the plants will be taken place. Either it may be according to the ecological condition, or in case of urban areas there is a social forestry, that is the governments generally involved in plantation of certain plants to reduce the pollutants, and also to reduce the particulate matter, and also increase the water evaporation and also water cycle, and thereafter increase the water level or the rainwater level of the area. So that is the reforestation is very important. Either it may be to restructure about the forest area, and also to maintain the greenery in case of urban area. So this is the overview of this particular chapter of this particular 8th class science. So coming to the 7th chapter, that is about the conservation of the plants and animals. So here we are going to discuss about the 8th class CBSE science. So here we are discussing about the first topic, that is about the deforestation. So what is deforestation? Deforestation is the process of removal of the, what is removed here? It is generally the forest cover has been removed from the surface of the earth. So the deforestation is the process of removal of the forest from the surface of the earth. Completely cleaning about the forest is called as deforestation. So what are the things which are going for the, or what are the things which are forcing the deforestation to take place? That is because of the human activity. So generally the human activity which are present in different forms are the ones which are leading to the deforestation. It may be the industries, okay, it may be the industries, or it may be the human activity, or it may be for the cropping purpose. Okay, there are different kind of human settlements, and for the usage of the wood for the various purpose, like pulp industry, paper industry, and also for the making the coal, everything whatever is needed for the human activity. So if the human activity is the one which is related with the removal of the forest cover, is nothing but called as deforestation. So deforestation is a process where we can see the entire cover of the forest has been removed because of the exploitation and the complete usage of the forest. And here we can see what are the consequences of the deforestation. Generally, in case of, while discussing about the consequences of the deforestation, we can see some of the major consequences like climatic change. So generally the climatic change is the one. So the climatic change is the one where we can see the change in the climatic conditions. So in case of this concept, we are going to discuss the very prolonged extension of the dry season, that is the summer, which is leading to the condition called as drought, where there is a severe shortage of the water supply for the cropping, and also for the insects or the other animals to consume. So this severe kind of shortage of the water is because of the shortage of the rainfall. So as we remove the forest cover, we can see that definitely that this removal of the forest cover is the one which is main devil behind the climatic change, and especially about the drought condition. And we can see whatever the soil fertility. So generally the roots of the plant are the one which are very important for holding the soil together. So the soil fertility is also drastically reduced as the result of deforestation. And here we can see about the desertification. So desertification is the one, or it is a process where we can see the desert conditions are generally arising. So desertification is a process where we can see the desert conditions are generally arising because of the removal of the plant. As a removal of the plants, we can see most of the vegetation will be lost, and we can see the removal of the moisture from the soil will take place, because the soil cannot able to hold on to the water, because there is a direct sun exposure, and the loss of moisture will also leads to the tumble effect, that is further deforestation and further loss of vegetation and also ecosystem. So here the direct effect of the deforestation, or the consequences of deforestation, is change in the climatic condition, and that is improper rainfalls, or sometimes it may be huge unnecessary falling of the rains, and decrease in the soil fertility, and also we can see the desertification, that is extension of desert condition, or we can see the development of desert habitat. So coming to next topic, that is about the conservation of the forest and the wildlife. So here we can see there are many measures which was took by the government of India, or regional governments, which are generally having an effort and also making the effort for the conservation of the forest, that is the plant species and also the wildlife of that particular forest. So here we can see. So here we can see that generally the forest and the wildlife of the forest can be conserved by means of setting up of the biospheres, and also we can see the biosphere reserves and national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, which are the spots or the places which was protected by the government, so that we can protect the wildlife. So generally the main agenda or the role of this particular different segments of the protection line for the wildlife, especially either it may be forest, is to restrict the axis of the human activity and also protect the plants and animals from the exploitation by the smugglers, and also to prevent them, or to prevent the encroachment of the persons. So here the governments are the one which are setting up a very huge criminal or the very large impact laws and the act, so that to protect the wildlife and also forest from the going extent because of the excess of illegal activity of the human activity. So here we can see the conservation of the forest and the wildlife is possible by the some of the stringent and very strict laws which was imposed by the government, either in the form of wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, and also we can see the biosphere, where we have very least activity of the human beings. So coming to the biosphere reserve, generally in case of biosphere reserves are the one which are generally entitled as a protected areas. So generally if you are seeing the biospheres, generally if the area has been very rich in flora and fauna, that is the plants and animal species, those areas are entitled as biosphere reserves. These biosphere reserves has been protected by the government by stringent laws, and very well protection is given by the security forces, so that there should not be any smuggling. So here in case of biosphere reserves are the one where we don't have any human activity, they will be bordered and they will be protected from the outside from the smuggling by forming a border areas, so that these protected areas will have a very enriched access, a very enriched reserves for the. So coming to next topic, that is about the flora and fauna. So what is flora and fauna? If you see any protected or any area, when you go to some kind of forest ecosystem or forest area, we can see different kind of plants and the different kind of animals. So the total number of, or the different kind of species or the plants and the animals which were generally observed in that particular area is called as flora for the plants, fauna for the animals. So animals and the plants which are found in that particular area is called as flora and fauna of that particular area. So here we can see the plants and animals are generally present, and in that particular forest area is called as flora and the fauna. So coming to what are endemic species. So any species which is generally entitled. So when it is entitled by the government of India or any regional government as an endemic species, those species are at the risk of extinction in the near future. They may become extinct if you are not protected by the some protector measures, by taking them into capitation, that is the captivity, and breeding them some kind of measures and maintaining the population. If you are not doing any kind of this population measure or the population increasing activity, then those species are nothing but they can go into near future into the extinction. And this, for example, if you see for example, it may be the Bengal tiger or the single horn rhinoceros. So these species are generally entitled as an endemic species, where they go for the extinction, and where they go extinction in near future if you are not having any protection, or if you won't protect those species properly. So in case of endemic species, we can see they are the one which are in the verge of going extinct, or the verge of going completely out of number, and we cannot protect if they are not able to protect in the particular given time. So here in case of here we can see the wild mango and the giant squirrels are the example for the endemic species. So coming to the wildlife sanctuaries, the wildlife sanctuaries are the one which are generally present. So here we can see the wildlife sanctuaries are the one which are involved in protecting especially the wildlife of that particular forest. So here these are the one which will have the least activity of humans, and they are being protected, as we said, by the governmental forces, so that to allow so that they should not be any black market or the illegal trading of the animals which are caught from that particular area. So generally the threatened wild animals, or the wild animals which have been threatened to go into extinct, these animals, like for example white eye buck, or we can see the animal elephants, and also the golden cat, pink headed duck, and all these things, crocodiles, python, rhinoceros, and the black buck, or the one which are generally entitled or which has been protected in the wildlife sanctuaries, and if it is in case of severe condition or severe problem, they can be capitated, and that is they generally kept in captivity, that is they have been kept in under the control conditions, and they will be undergo breeding, and they can increase the population. So here, and also we can say about the national parks. So national park are nothing but they are equal to the zoological parks, where the selected animals from the wildlife, they will be brought, and they won't be tamed or they won't be domesticated, but they will be kept in the controlled environment, and their lifespan will be studied, their food habits will be studied, and entire behavior, animal husbandry will be of that particular animal will be studied, and also they will be protected from the enemies, and also they will be kept in the control condition, so that they can breed and they can increase the population. So generally the ecosystem is the one which is consisting of what is ecosystem. So if you are taking any piece of land of the earth, if it is containing the plants, and if it is containing animals, and also microorganisms with also abiotic factors like air and all the mud and the soil, that entire natural system is called as ecosystem. So this ecosystem is the one which is consisting of all the living entities, and also abiotic factors present together is called as ecosystem. So here we can see different kind of ecosystems can be present on the surface of the earth. So what we are now living in case of our area, it's a tropical area, which a normal kind of that is the a general ecosystem. But if you go to the desert, that is a desert ecosystem. They can be the river ecosystem, ocean ecosystem. So different parts of the world and different parts of the earth is having the a biological activity where it is taking place in that particular spot of the earth is called as a ecosystem of the earth. So always we have to keep in mind that this ecosystem should be preserved, so that we should also maintain the balance of all the animals and the plants and the microorganisms, so that when it is needed, they will drive together and forms that healthy ecosystem. If one of the individual has been disturbed, the entire system will be disturbed. So here we can see generally the red book is the one which is another topic where we can see the listing of the animals which are going to extinct in the near future. So the red book is the one which has been created by the worldwide wildlife federation, where that is called as WWF, and other kind of communities, that is national international level, which are entitling or which have been enlisting the species which can go into near future of extinction. So here we can see generally the red book is the one which is holding the details of these animals, and how and what is the methods by which they can be conserved. So coming to the migration, so in the next topic we are discussing about the migration. So migration is the process where the species has not been present in that particular ecosystem. So the species, or whether it may be birds or whether it may be animals, they will come from other areas and other spot to this particular place in search of food and also having warmer climate. So we can see generally in case of summers, we can see some of the migratory birds will be reaching the coastal lines of Andhra Pradesh from the Siberia and other areas, where we can see the birds will be flying for thousands and thousands of kilometers so that to escape from the cold climate and to get the abundant food in the new area. So this process of moving from one place to other place in search of better life conditions and better lively conditions, and also to avoid unnecessary conditions, this kind of a process is called as migration process, where the birds are generally moving from one area to other area. So this is called as migration, which is generally observed in case of larger mammals like even the elephants, which are moving from the one side of the Africa, that is the Western Africa, to Eastern Africa in search of water and the food. So this migration is very important to boost up the species, so they can come in search of food and also for the search of comfort in that circumstances. If they are having favorable condition in the new area, they can go for the breeding and they can increase the population of the individual. So this is about the migration. And coming to last one, that is about the recycling of the paper. So generally the paper, whatever the paper we are using in the day-to-day life, that paper is generally made up of the pulp of the wood. So the wood, whether it may be a forest origin, whether it may be planted, the plantation, that plant has to be killed and has to be broken down to get the paper out of that particular tree. So generally the paper industry are relying on the wood pulp which is coming out of the deforestation. So generally, in order to avoid this deforestation, the paper which has been used by us should be recycled so that it can be used in the near future. So generally the paper industries or nowadays they are going for the recycling of the paper, or generally preparing a recycled paper which is already used, so that to decrease the pressure on the forest cover. So that is generally recycling of the paper is the one of the major factor to protect the trees and the plantation from going to the deforestation, and also to avoid the other kind of climatic disasters. So in order to avoid all these consequences of deforestation, loss of habitat, and also loss of different kind of animals and the wildlife, and also wild plants, the main agenda is nothing but to go forward with the reforestation. So reforestation is the one where we can see the replanting of the saplings, that is the seedlings, will be done in the forest area. So this reforestation can be done in a dynamic way, that is according to the needs of the local people and the local climatic condition and local ecosystem. We can study what are the animals and the plants which are generally available in that particular area, and growing those plants in the nurseries and taking them back to the forest area and planting them in the forest area, so that we can have a balanced, very good dynamic reforestation, which is very much needed for supporting the local ecosystem. So after the reforestation, as a part of the reforestation, we should also look into the issue that they should be dealt carefully so that they can be preserved properly, and it should be done properly, so that after the planting of the sapling, they should be look over for the proper maintenance. So that is about the reforestation. So here we can see reforestation is very important here. And in case of urban areas like city life, urban reforestation or social reforestation is very important to bring down the pollution and also particulate matter, and to cool down the temperature in case of summers. That is, the climatic changes can be shown as a very slow process rather than have a rapid disastrous changes. So this is about the reforestation and discussion of the each and every topic in detail. So coming to the summarization of the 7th chapter of this CBSE 8th class science. So here we can see the conservation of the plants and animals. So here we are going to discuss about the deforestation in the first topic, that is about the removal of the forest cover from the surface of the earth. That is, the plantation has been removed from the forest, the complete clearance of the forest. It is generally because of increase in the human activity. Either it may be direct or indirect need. It can be for the cropping, plantations, agriculture, or for industrialization, for the wood paper industry, or it for the furniture and building the homes, or clearing the land for the building of the homes is the deforestation. That process leads to the deforestation. And what are the consequences? We can see the deforestation have multiple consequences, like extended dry conditions, like leads to the shortage of the rainfall, that is drought conditions, desertification, and also decrease in the soil fertility. We can also see that generally we have to take in interest that the conservation of the forest and the wildlife is very important. So that is generally performed or presented because of conserving in terms of wildlife conserves, wildlife, that is the biosphere conserves, wildlife reserves, national parks, and everything. They are the one which are the protected areas for the things. And we can see the flora and fauna is nothing but the complete flower, that is the complete plants and animal species present in particular area is called as flora and the fauna. And we can also see that the endemic species are the one like which are very much keen to be observed only in particular area is called as endemic species. We can see the wild mango and also giant squirrels are the one which are nothing but called as endemic species. And we can see this has to be protected because they are not present in overall the world. And we can see what is wildlife sanctuaries. Generally the wildlife sanctuaries are the one which are having the least human activity, and they have been protected by the government under the State Wildlife Protection Act. And coming to the same line, that is generally in the same line, it is about the national park, zoological park, and also here we come across the endangered animals. So endangered animals are the red listed animals which are generally listed by means of a World Wildlife Forum, or nothing but the WWF, that is the foundation which is generally involved in enlisting the species and protecting the species. And coming to ecosystem, generally it's consisting of both abiotic and abiotic components. And we can see generally the living and non-living components are the one which are forming the ecosystem. We can see the red data book is the one which is generally involve all the species. Migration of the migration is also process where we can see, especially in case of larger mammals like animals, that is the elephants and the water buffaloes, they move from one area to other area in search of increasing the comfort zone, food, water, and shelter. And also we can see the migratory birds coming from different areas of the world into the India in the coastal lines, so that they can have a better life, like increasing their food supply, proper water supply, warm climate, and also involves a safe place for the breeding and increasing their number. And coming to recycling of the paper, generally the recycling of the paper is very much interested, and it is very much needed for present hour because to reduce the pressure on the forest area. And coming to the reforestation, generally the plantation should be done in such a way, and it should be very dynamic. The plants which are of local origin should be replanted in a wide range as an urban or social forestry among the urban areas, and also they should be planted in the city outskirts to maintain some artificial reforestation or artificial plantation, so that they can increase the cover area of the forest. So initially they have to taken care by the government for the seedling to whatever the seedling or the sapling to survive, and thereafter they can retain themselves. So that is about the reforestation. And main consequences of the reforestation is to improve the soil fertility, increase the rainfall percentage, monsoon arrivals, decrease the droughtness, decrease the unwanted climatic changes, or the ones which are very beneficial effects because of the reforestation. And this is about this chapter, that is the 7th chapter of 8th class CBSE science. So thank you for watching. If you have any doubts relevant this particular process of conservation of plants and animals, you can write down in the comment box, and also you can share with your friends, and also you can share with your known people, so that we can have a proper of making the quality videos, and also subscribe to the channel. And once again, thank you for watching.